You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
We're live.
I said, hey, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. I said, hey, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. We're gonna drink a fine whiskey and smoke a really fine cigar.
It is time for Happy Hour. It is the Man Cave Happy Hour. We are out on the road once again. We are at Casa in Detroit, downtown Detroit.
Right downtown Detroit.
That is it. It's a Man Cave Happy Hour. Whiskey, cigars, spirit, and the stories that go along with it. And today we're really looking forward to some great stories. Thank you to our wonderful host, Ishmael, for having us out here today.
Thank you for coming in.
Absolutely.
And also on tap, some ZIMS Vodka. Bruce is here.
ZIMS Vodka. Hi, Bruce.
Terry's
Hi,
here.
Matt. Hi, James. How are you?
Fellas, how are you? Always good to be here.
Hi, Terry.
And then, of course, Matt and I, we adopted a godfather, and Paul Calamari, he's our adopted godfather from the Cigar Smokers of Michigan, because he helps us out when we're doing cigars, so we don't sound like total idiots, and we can. He helps us learn our way and fumble through cigars. So, gentlemen, thank you all for coming and letting us set up the Man Cave in your home here.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, Ishmael, tell us a little bit about La Casa Detroit. How long have you been here in this location?
Sure. La Casa Detroit, actually, if we go back a little bit further,
Yes, please.
I started in the cigar business back in 1996. I was in the military, serving in the U.S. Army, 82nd Airborne Division out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I finished in 1996.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
So I moved from North Carolina coming to Michigan. And if you guys remember back in 1996, really cigars the industry was really booming.
Mm-hmm.
So I opened my first location in Canton. It was more like, a smoke shop. And then in 2000, I started the concept La Casa de la Havana, which means the house of the city Havana. And I started that concept with cigars and a private club. And the first location I opened under that name was in Plymouth, Michigan in 2000. And it started being upstairs, downstairs. Upstairs was a little private club, a little really private room upstairs with the 24 lockers. And I opened that concept, and the lockers sold out really quickly.
Nice.
So after that, I opened another location in Ann Arbor. It's on the west side on Jackson Road by the dealership, all the dealerships, right in front of the movie theater, Quality 16. And same concept. And then I opened Detroit in 2009.
2009.
Now, a lot of people, when I came down to Detroit, back in 2009, everybody remembers almost 10 years ago, nothing was downtown.
No.
So you have
So
a
a lot
10-year
of-
another coming up here pretty quickly.
Yes, I do.
That's fantastic.
So a lot of
party
friends
for the 10-year, or
Yes, a lot of friends. I made it 10 years. A lot of friends when I came down, they thought really I was a little crazy, to come to Detroit with the economy being really the way it was. And but everybody remembers, it was a very bad timing. But I really saw a vision. Especially with my building, it's a historic district. It reflected a lot, about cigars, and really knowing Detroit. If you go back in time, Detroit used to be among the top 5 cities in the United States where they made cigars back in the day.
Right.
Okay.
There were a lot of cigar factories here produced in Detroit. All the immigrants, the ladies, that came, from Poland or whatever, overseas. The work industry. That was before Ford was here and all the car industry came, and after that after the car industry came in and they invented the cigarette machine, so they start losing to the business of the cigar business, so then they went to the car industry. So I opened in 2009, same concept, and it's been doing extremely well. And after 2009, I opened in Las Vegas, my third location.
I'd like to learn a little bit more about what prompted you to move out to the concept to Vegas and what that process kind of looked like.
We have. I belong to the IPCPR, which is the International Premium, cigar retailers, convention. I belong to the association.
Sure.
And we have our yearly convention in different cities, but it happened a lot to be in Las Vegas a lot. So when I used to frequent Las Vegas as a cigar bar owner or as a retailer, I like to go and visit other locations to see what they have to offer.
Sure.
And to be honest with you, I was not really impressed with what really Las Vegas, what they have to offer as far as cigar lounges.
Okay.
So I sold one of my locations in Plymouth back in 2000. And, I decided that I really want to branch out. I just don't want to be in Michigan. So I want to, go outside Michigan.
You want to go where it's warm, too. I said that out loud.
That's why I spend a lot of time, the first few years, traveling a lot to Vegas. So I found that really Las Vegas is a place, to be. So that's why I decided that Las Vegas. And our store in Las Vegas is not right on the strip. It's in Summerlin by Red Rock Casino. I'm not sure how much how many of you knows the area there. Sure. It's a high-end area. It's a really nice area, and our store there been receiving really lots of high recommendations, and it's been a very big success.
I was actually out at Red Rocks about a year ago for a wedding, and La Casa got brought up by a lot of the locals as the place to go for cigars.
Sure. Over there, too, we do, the concept of the cigar bar and also live music. So we have live music almost on a daily basis. The only day we don't play music is a Monday.
Okay.
And it's...
Jamie, you think he needs a DJ for Monday?
During those cold winter Januaries and Februaries.
It's either a cruise ship or Vegas. Get me someplace warm.
Now, Ishmael, correct me if I'm wrong, too. We're in Detroit, large metropolitan area, but as far as cigar lounges downtown, you've really kind of got the market corner. There's only, I can think of a couple other places to go and maybe enjoy a cigar, but really La Casa's at the top of the list. And after that, it's maybe the London Chop House. I think you can go smoke there. And the Detroit Club, I think they've got an area you can smoke in. But that's really about it as far as downtown, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Downtown, has those, what you just mentioned. But as far as a full-blown cigar bar / retailers, we are it. We really even, when I first opened in 2009, when I opened my next locations, all the time I'm thinking, okay, what can I do different to really bring up the industry, kind of bring something really new to clients and something different. So when I opened Detroit, two things came to my mind. First of all, I was in a historic district.
Yeah.
Second of all, as I mentioned before, that Detroit used to be among the top 5 cities in the United States where they made cigars. So I brought in a cigar roller, a Cuban cigar roller from Miami. And with the help of, he used to own back then Camacho Cigars, which is Christian Oroa. He helped me with his farms in Honduras. So he really brought tobacco for me to make cigars here. So I started making cigars. And then 2, how cool it is when somebody walks into a cigar place where you are making a cigar on a table, and then you have a shoe shine stand. You're sitting on the shoe shine stand, holding a newspaper in your hand, and just it really brings you back in time. It
really does.
So I did that here. Plus, I did the 4,000 square feet VIP on the second floor,
which is where we're sitting right now. It's
massive.
It's a beautiful space up here. It really is nice. It's my
Actually,
first
that's
time
one of
up
the
here.
reasons I wanted to come here today, because I always go on to the lower level, and I never get to go up to the second floor. So this is a treat.
You got a pass. You got your pass, Paul.
I got upgraded.
The major upgrade.
Golden ticket.
I kind of glommed on.
No, we need Paul. He bails us out.
Yeah.
So Ishmael, the placement here is amazing. You're like right in the middle of the theater district. I mean, it's like the largest theater district outside of Broadway,
yes,
or the
it's called
second
the entertainment district. Correct.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
and you were just right in the middle of the hub. Things are really ramping up down here. I mean, people talk about the neighborhoods. They need to move out there, because I grew up like at 7 in Van Dyke, and we still go back for midnight mass and everything back to the old neighborhood. It's a little rough, but
it might be.
I'm hoping it trickles back out.
It might be really rough. I don't know out there, but to be honest with you, since I moved here in 2009, I've never had an issue at all.
I believe that.
And a lot of people that come from out of town.
Yeah.
A lot of people come from, let's say, New York to visit Detroit and stuff like that. They walk into, La Casa and say, wow, I never thought that Detroit is as nice, where it's safe, you don't have to worry about safety, and it's really nice. People are very, very nice people in in Detroit. And so they have, when they come, they have the wrong idea. So when they come in and after they leave, they have a totally different idea.
It does. There's a stigma attached to Detroit, I think, and I think we're overcoming it. I think and places like La Casa are really helping turn it around. So spending at least 20 minutes in Detroit today, we're going to spend an hour. So that's the name of the cigar. Is that a new venture? Is this what is 20 minutes in
there's
Detroit?
There's a story behind why it's called 20 minutes. As I mentioned before, when I brought in the cigar roller, back in 2009, 2010, I started making cigars with the help of, Christian Iroa, with helping me with the tobacco. And I had the big mold where I was making really the 7x60, the cigars. So that's a really big cigars. And then Detroiters, really, believe it or not, they like bigger sizes.
Right.
So what happened is, when my cigar roller, is making the cigars in the retail, people walk in about lunchtime. So I grabbed the cigar from the table in front of my cigar roller, and I would tell, the customer, would you like to try our house cigars? Because back then it used to be our house cigars.
Okay.
So I said, would you like to try our house cigars? So everybody says, Ishmael, I only have 20 minutes.
Right.
Because it's lunchtime, right?
Yeah, so lunchtime. But, so I kept hearing the 20 minutes over and over again. When we say, we have a short time, hey, I only have 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's a saying, that we say. So I kept hearing that. So over a month period, I went back to my cigar roller, because people are not buying that 7x60. So I went back to my cigar roller, who spoke, little English. I said, listen, that cigar is too big. So in the mold, it's a 60 mold, it's a 60 ring gauge, the mold. So make the tobacco to be half the size, which is like almost, about 4 inches, 4 1/4. Make it, don't fill it with tobacco all the way out, and then give me the cigar. He said, okay. So he made it, he gave it to me, which is right now 4.5 by 60 ring gauge. So it's a short cigar. So he gave it to me, said, there we go. I looked at it, and then he said, what you going to call it? I said, what? It's a good question.
I wonder.
I'm going to call it 20 minutes. Even that cigar smokes more than 20 minutes.
Sure.
So, I'm going to call it 20 minutes. So people walking in a 1 year period, instead of people saying, I only have 20 minutes, they start walking in, hey, where's your 20 minutes?
Right.
So that specific cigar really became my #1 seller in the humidor.
That's fantastic.
So when
story.
so when the time came, and I grew so much that I cannot just have one cigar roller really working on my cigars. I want to take the production somewhere else. So now I want to what I'm going to call the cigar, what I'm going to name it. So I came up with an idea, which all that really came, if you look at it, came from customers.
Yeah.
Not from me. The 20 minutes came from customers. So I decided I'm going to call it 20 minutes in Detroit to promote the city.
Yep.
And then two, how we have different sizes in the cigar industry. We have, the Robusto being 5x50.
Sure.
The Churchill size being maybe 7x40, 7. Toro, Torpedo, all these names. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to go by those names.
Yeah.
I want to promote the city of Detroit. So what I did is I started the name promoting the city, the street names of the city. So let's say the Robust or the new one, the 20 minutes, that's a 4.5 by 60. I called the Randolph, which is after our street name.
Right where we're at.
And they have, and then really thinking about Detroit and looking at the history of Detroit, the first traffic light ever invented was here in Detroit.
Right.
So it's on Michigan Avenue and Woodward.
All right.
So I named, one called Woodward, Jefferson, 8 Mile, which became very popular.
Yeah.
And
What's in
I
that
have
one?
all these different names, Madison, all these different names, of different sizes of the street names.
That's great.
So they became, very popular.
Well, that's how you suckered me in on getting one. Working downtown, and I work right off of Campus Martius, and I came in here and I saw a Cadillac Square one day, and I'm like, oh, what the hell? I got to try that, just for the name alone.
Yes, and they do have Campus Martius, by the way, too.
Yeah, I've seen that one. I think it's a little bit bigger, though.
Yeah, it is.
A little outside of my range of having time.
Yes, it is a bigger engagement.
So, Ishmael, let me ask you a question. How long does a bigger cigar last? Will it go for an hour? 40
it can
minutes?
go really more. No, it goes more than an hour. If you get really, those big ring gauges, you can go for more than an hour.
Really? Okay.
Depends how fast you puff on it, of course,
Yeah.
and all that. But really, if normal smoking, it will go more than an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, the attention span of a human being is, short as it is. So we call it a 20-minute in Detroit.
Right.
You're kind of playing to their attention span at the same time.
Right.
Like, you get them for 20 minutes, but it's going to take a little bit longer to get through that. So you
Right.
get a customer for a little bit longer as well.
Yeah, so now
that.
really I noticed something different. You always have to, adapt and then listen to your customers. So now customers are saying, hey, where are the Detroit 20s? So 20 minutes in Detroit to
Right,
the
right.
Detroit 20s, so the shorter,
So where are people going to find the 20 minutes in Detroit Cigars? Is it strictly in your 3 locations?
Not really. I have them throughout other locations. I know Bellicoso Cafe, have those, in Wine Dot. I carry them in Las Vegas. I carry them in Toledo. And there was a reason why I really didn't go out with them all the way out, because the FDA came out with the new regulations about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So I was kind of, worried about, what to do. So I filed all the appropriate paperwork with the FDA, and now I'm safe to launch them. So, the plan is for 2019 to go, nationwide with them.
Okay. All right.
But as of right now, a few stores in Michigan, a few stores in Ohio, and
I know Terry happens to also reside down in Florida, and I know he loves his ZIMS vodka down there, but he also likes a good cigar. So do you sell these online as well? Is that something that can happen?
Yes, we do have them online. We have a website, 20 minutes cigars, .com. Everybody can go on that, and then they can check them out. And, we have, different sizes, and even we just, not too long ago, which is a very popular now, we decided to come out with the sweet, tasty cigar. And then we do it different from everybody else. A lot of people infuse, their cigars to make them, sweet, or, give them the flavors. Correct. Yeah. So, we don't do that. What we do is we took our production, when I grew, bigger, I couldn't, keep up with only one cigar roller. I decided to the production to a boutique manufacturer down in Costa Rica.
Okay.
And the reason why I picked Costa Rica, and in my industry, I personally do a lot of travels. So I've been to, Nicaragua, I've been to Honduras, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Costa Rica. I mean, you name it. So I've seen
just a few places. Yeah.
A few places, yes.
I think he likes those places. I bet he goes there in January and February a lot.
I do. Yes.
Just-
Yes, I do.
Curious.
We cut them in December.
Yeah,
isn't
exactly.
Yes. So I picked the manufacturer down in Costa Rica, a really beautiful boutique factory.
Okay.
And, we picked one, we called it River Walk, and then one called Harmony Park, after, the Harmony Park here. And what we did different with that cigar, it's a sweet cigar. So what we did, we got sugar cane, in Costa Rica. We heat it up, we turn it a little bit into molasses. We mix it with organic honey, Costa Rican organic honey, and then we just rub it only on the outside of the wrapper. So it's still smoking a cigar that's,
Sure.
Right.
that's absolutely 100% tobacco with no additives to it.
But it sounds delicious.
And
It really
then,
sounds
so
delicious.
if you want the sweetness, we added that sweetness to it, where it will smoke sweet all the way through, and it's not overpowering sweet. And believe it or not, that kind of became my number one seller. You're hearing.
You call it the Riverwalk.
Yes.
All right.
Now, I am curious. You talked about the different vitolas and how they have different names. Are you using different wrappers or fillers or binders on any of them, or are they all pretty much the same?
I am using on different, because we didn't mention that I did the 20 minutes in Las Vegas. I did 20 minutes in Chicago.
Okay.
So I was, going after, the big city names,
Right.
and and then I do different blends for every city.
Okay.
So Detroit, known to be, a bolder city. So I did the, bolder blend for Detroit.
Sure.
So what I did with Detroit, I got a Habano wrapper, which is, if you see your cigar, it's a dark Habano, which known to be a wrapper that's a full body. And the binder is also Habano grown in Ecuador. And then the filler, we picked Nicaragua, where it gives you sweetness on the palate. We also picked Dominican, filler, where it gives you the earthiness. And then we also picked one leaf where not too many people really hear about that. It's a Peruvian. It's from Peru. A lot of people wonder about Peruvian tobacco. Peruvian tobacco, really, that's where they discovered tobacco originally.
Okay.
With the Incas, in Peru.
Really?
Yes. And then Peruvian tobacco is closer in taste to Cuban tobacco than any other tobacco. And it's a very unique tobacco. So we put one in the filler, Peruvian tobacco. So that's how we came out with the blend for Detroit. So
It's a very savory cigar.
it is.
Yeah. Paul, have you heard of the Peruvian tobaccos
I have
before?
not. I'm very unfamiliar with Peruvian tobacco.
That's new.
So-
That's very.
Very new.
We've done it a few times.
There's only
and-
one specific place
Okay.
in Peru where they grow it. It's
Okay.
called Tarapoto, Peru. And then, it's a hard place to get to. But that's the only spot that I know they grow tobacco.
Yeah, and
And that's
that's
where
the
the
thing with
tobacco
tobacco.
come from,
Most of
the
the places where it grows real well, it's just a pain in the butt to get to.
It is.
Yeah, sounds like a couple of bus rides and then another bus ride that you're not quite sure of.
Get on the mule, climb up the mountain.
Right.
So Ishmael, how hands-on are you when you're going and picking these different tobaccos and the leaves that are going to go in for the filler, the wrapper? Are you down and making these choices, or do you have people that you work with and trust?
When it comes to the blends, I do it myself. So I go down to the factory. I don't go down to the tobacco fields in Ecuador or whatever, because the factory where I manufacture, basically they own land in Nicaragua, they own land in Ecuador.
Okay.
So I kind of very much have my hands on the tobacco itself,
Right.
except the Peruvian tobacco that we buy strictly from Peru.
Wow.
To the factory. So we go down there, we put the blends together, and then with the master blenders and all that. So we start making the blends, we start tasting them. Say, okay, you know what, take out, let's say, for example, in Nicaragua in there, I don't want it to be, a seco, maybe put a lejero, which is a stronger part, of the tobacco, which is the upper leaf of the plant, which is a stronger leaf, darker, slower burner, a lot more taste to it, so that's how we play with the blends,
Oh,
to get the right blend.
I love that. I love that a lot. That's just, I'm just fascinated by the process and the fact that you get to go down there and get your hands on it.
handpicking the tobacco that you want to use when you're there. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you're handpicking the filler itself.
Yes, we handpick the filler, ourselves. We say, okay, that's the type of filler, we need, for the blend that I think. And then a lot of times, believe it or not, I might make, 4 or 5 different blends.
Sure.
So I bring them here to Detroit, and I sit with a panel of, my clientele that I know they have a good palate, and then we sit down and then we start, testing them. What do you think? And everybody starts taking notes, about the cigar.
Right.
This is what it is. This is what I think, and So
How do I get on that panel?
Yeah, really.
That's he's got
We're
that.
fine.
The next one you'll be involved.
The Godfather's
I
got
want an
that.
application.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned the Peruvian tobacco, right? That the Peruvians actually created tobacco itself. They were the first creators. Was that
Yes.
that's
That's what history,
that history?
says.
So-
Yeah. And there's a controversy about that. Some people know it's not, but really, if you read history, a lot of people agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that same connotation, Poland was the created vodka.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because listening to you articulate the process that you've gone through to get where we are today in this podcast, it reminds me of when Terry first started doing all the research.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even close. I mean, Poland is without question the motherland of vodka.
Oh, yeah.
And, literally Poland and Russia have gone to war over vodka. But that's how Terry started this business. Is he said, look, I want to go where it first started. And, really, I'll let him tell the story because it's a remarkable story. But there's a lot of parallels to what you're going through. The same thing with the potatoes, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Well, I'm thinking about a 59 cigar
Yeah,
to go with our vodka.
Yeah, I like that.
This is a great story.
Oh,
Ishmael.
definitely.
Great story.
Cigars and really liquor and vodka and others, really, they have a lot of things in common.
You really do.
Ingredients. It's another thing. With cigars, we call it the blends. With the liquor, you call it ingredients. Aging. How much your vodka is aged. Same thing with tobacco. Tobacco, to really ferment the right way and to be able to smoke it properly, you need at least 2 years aging on the tobacco. So hand in hand, they go with the liquor.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, cigars are really classy. And it's a way or a form of relaxation, and the same thing with the liquor.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I think it parallels when Terry first started this business. He wanted to start it as a lifestyle and as a brand, and that's what cigars are like. It's a
100% lifestyle. Yep. That's it.
And he wanted to create a luxury brand, and I think he's not only hit it, but he's killing it.
Yeah, right out of the park.
That's what I was going to say, Terry. Tell me about your childhood. I want to know the story. So this is like a second venture for you. This is
it really is. I did not serve in the serve the country, but prior to this,
you're serving the country now.
One drink at a time, absolutely. And we want to keep that going. But prior to this, I had been in the marketing research business. So I owned a company for about 20 years, and I used to sell to IBM and Microsoft, AT&T, all the big OEMs. And I sold that company back in 2000. I was 40 years old. So I'm retired at 40. What am I going to do? I'm going to smoke cigars. I'm going to play golf. I'm going to buy some real estate. I'm going to invest. And, but it got hard. My golf game got really well.
Oh, right.
But all my buddies were still working, so it was hard to get a game during the day.
You should have called me, man.
Yeah.
So I would be out playing with guys that were in their 80s, but they could only play 9 holes. So I'd play with 2 guys, 9 holes on each side. And then one day my wife said to me, she goes, listen, why don't you get out of the house and get a real job? And one of the customers asked me tonight, he goes, how'd you get in this business? I said, well, I used to read the Wall Street Journal all the time. And I'd see that ad that said Grey Goose was the best tasting vodka.
Yeah.
And so I was a Kettle One guy.
Okay.
All right, before I got in the business. And so I went out and I tried Grey Goose. And palates, everybody has different palates. I really didn't enjoy the taste.
Sure.
So I went to a second place and tried it. And I still had the same result. So what I did was I started to research where Grey Goose came from and found out, I thought with the geese it was coming from Canada. I'm a Canadian by heart.
Yeah.
Well, I find out it's made in France. So I had offices all over the world. I called my guys in Paris and I said, hey, what kind of vodka do you guys drink over in Paris? And they said, Russian standard.
Yeah.
And I said, well, why aren't you guys drinking Grey Goose or Ciroc, which is made in France? And they said, American garbage. This is what they said. And I never, listen, it's a very competitive business wherein everybody has their space.
Right.
And I said, well, maybe I can make a better tasting vodka. And I called up Bruce one day and I said, hey, listen, is your passport current?
And it was.
He goes, yeah. I said, well, tell your wife we're going to go to Poland next week. And so we jumped on a plane and went over and kind of toured the country. And much like your story, Ishmael, we found a 250-year-old distillery. in a little town in southwestern Poland called Wrocław.
In Poland. I love
In
that.
Poland.
Yeah.
And I took my recipe that I had really kind of created here in the United States, much like your panel of 5 people when you do your tasting. I was here in Michigan and had probably 30 people. We would do tastings as I was cutting my product, making the taste that I wanted. And I knew I wanted potato because I wanted a real smooth tasting vodka. I wanted it to be clean. And we've all been to Mexico.
Sure.
We've all had a Coca-Cola in Mexico.
Yeah.
And it tastes different than it does here in the U.S. The difference being the water and the sugar.
Absolutely.
And so when I took my recipes to Poland and we were working with our chemist, I said, wow, this is actually even better than what we were creating in the U.S.
Right.
And it dawned on me, we were using GMO potatoes over there. We were using Polish spring-fed water. And then when you've got 250 years of distilling experience, much like your guys who are making your cigars, they're experts, it just came together. And I said, this is unbelievable.
Right place, right time.
Right place, right time. And it was a whole learning experience too. Actually met the farmers that I get my potatoes from. That was an interesting experience. We were getting ready to leave Poland after we had put our deal together. We were in a conference room one morning, and there's a bunch of farmers sitting in this conference room. And I said to the interpreter, I go, what are these guys doing here? And she said, they want to know what you're going to do with the mash.
Oh.
And I said, well, what do most people do with the mash? And he goes, well, they'll sell it back to the farmers. I said, well, what do they do with it? They use it for feed and fertilizer. And I looked around. I said, well, I'm from the U.S. I'm not bringing it back to the U.S. with me. I said, why don't you tell these guys that we'll give them the mash for free as long as I get the best yield every year of the potato crop. And she explained that to him. And it was like the movie, 8 Grumpy Men. They're all sitting there in their Carhartts and, sort of their fingernails. She said that to them. They stood up, and it's like 9:30 in the morning, and we start doing shots of vodka. They were so
Nostrovia.
So if we'd had a cigar, we'd enjoyed a cigar too. But that's how. And then I just knew it felt right, and it was the right thing to do. And I just didn't want to be another American vodka.
Sure.
Ishmael talked about the cigar with the flavor, and people have said to us all the time, "Why don't you do flavored vodka?" I said, "If you want flavored vodka from ZIMS, put an orange or lemon or wedge, lime wedge in it.
Yeah.
But we're not going to get into the flavored stuff, And what he does, and what we talk about with ours, we're a pure product. You want to enjoy a good tobacco, or you want to enjoy a good vodka, then we think you'll enjoy ours." And that's really what we've stuck to.
Terry's, his whole thing was, and it really is true regardless of what business you're in, and that is you don't do things right some of the time. You do things right all the time.
Yeah.
And that's his mantra. And so henceforth, ZIMS was born. And that in itself is a good story because he was attempting to find he and I were banging our heads and trying to find out, what are we going to call this? And I don't know how many names we went through, but
So where does the name
ZIMS
derive
come
from?
from? Yeah.
So the short version is the first name I wanted was going to go with was a name, and I'll tell you, it was called Lulu's Vodka. Lulus Vodka, Lulu's. And I was naming it after my youngest daughter.
Oh,
it was kind of her nickname. Yeah. So I filed the paperwork. I sent it out, and dealing with the FDA and the TTB and everybody else, we applied the application. They sent us my attorney called me on a Monday morning. I'll never forget this, at 9:30, and he said, "Hey, I just got a call from the Copyright Patent Office. They've approved your name, Lulu's Vodka." I go, "Great. I'm ready to hit the button to produce thousands of bottles."
Lulu's, yeah.
And he calls me back at 10:30, and he goes, "Hey, hold the presses. I just got a FedEx envelope in from a company in California representing a wine company in France. And it was called Lulu B Wine. And they were challenging our name. And I said, come on. We're not even going to be on the same part of the shelf. They're wine, we're vodka." And the office said, "Don't worry, you'll probably win if you challenge it, but it's going to take 6 months." And I said, "I don't have 6 months. I've been waiting long enough. The paperwork and everything they put you through. So I'm back in my brain and trying, Ishmael's vodka, taken. Bruce's vodka, taken. T.O.'s vodka, my initials, too close to Tito, right? Taken. So one night I said, well, what's the Polish word for potato? And it's Zimniak.
Okay.
So much like Stolenicia, which everyone calls, give me a Stoli. I said, what about ZIMS? We'll shorten Zimniak to ZIMS. And I ran it past about 30 bartenders that I had around the country and said, what do you think of this name? And to a person, they loved it. They go, ZIMS Martini, ZIMS Tonic. It just really flowed. And we got the name. So we called the office back, and they fast-tracked it for us. It took us about another, between being in the book and everything else, it was about a 4-month process. But so it's a registered trademark now that we own, and, it was something to go
Fantastic.
through.
I love the bottle. It's bottling and the packaging is always a question. So the ZIMS bottle itself, it's a skinnier, taller bottle. Is there a reason behind the shape and size of it?
Yes,
Did you tee that up?
There is.
Good grief. We'll pay you later. That was an excellent question.
It's a great question.
And while you tell me, I'm going to pour some.
So vodka comes in a couple different sizes, typically the 750 or the 1 liter. And when I was out looking at all the bars and restaurants, I'd walk into these places and I'd see all these bottles, and I'd go, most of them were 1 liter bottles. Well, we were going to come out with a 750 on some recommendations from people that I knew in the industry, and I wanted to make sure that my bottle would be as tall, if not taller, than most of the others on the shelf.
Sure.
Just to try and differentiate.
Stand out.
Right, stand out. So that's the reason. These bottles actually come from Germany. So we buy them in Germany.
Okay.
It's a very, it's an expensive bottle, but I want to spend more time on the juice rather than the bottle, but I wanted a nice bottle.
Okay.
I sent them to Poland, and that's where we decorate them. So these are all painted. So I'm not using, you can't scratch that label off.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not a paper label.
Yeah.
This is high quality painted. You see the Polish eagle, the Polish flag. So
Right.
it just says, it screams Poland.
And the eagle's got a crown on it.
Yes, that's right.
Right?
That's exactly right.
It's got to have the crown on
And
it.
by the way, you're enjoying ZIMS at room temperature.
Yeah.
Now, there's a reason that in the international and domestic competitions where ZIMS has, swept the table, taken, by the way, in the Vodka Masters competition, better known as the Vodka Olympics, #1 and #2, it's because the judges and mixologists always taste it at room temperature. The reason most brands want you to chill or freeze it is they want to mask the impurities. And so you're drinking it as they call neat, where you're going to be able to taste the creaminess. It's very viscous.
Yes.
And again, it's like Ishmael talked about with cigars. I mean, it's bold.
Right.
And
a lot of places they'll talk about the distilling process. We distilled ours 3-4 times. My understanding is that you guys do yours once because it's got to be done only the first time. Is that correct?
So when I asked my chemist in Poland, a little short blonde lady, her name was Hania, through the interpreter, I said, how many times are we going to distill? And she goes, well, what do you mean? I said, well, in America, people say 4 times, 8 times, 10 times distilled. And I said, well, what's that all about? She goes, that doesn't mean anything. She goes, that's just marketing. She goes, it's got nothing to do with how many times you distill. It's how long you distill. And I said, well, she goes, it's like cooking an egg. You can undercook or you can overcook. I said, well, then let's try this. I said, I want you to undercook it for me. We tasted it, and it was terrible. Overcook it. And so part of my recipes for both products have a time element that's with them, and we hit it just right on both of them. And believe it or not, it takes a little bit longer to actually cook the ZIMS 59, which is the lower proof, with the product. But it was a huge, huge difference. The other thing that we do that most people, will cut corners on in this business, I use 8 pounds of potato in every fifth. 8 pounds. And that gives it, I tried 4 pounds, I tried 6, I tried 10. and they all had their different variations. But the 8-pound was the one I felt that was going to deliver us it's like the cigar tobacco. When you get that yield, that good
So
taste.
how long was that trial and error process of 4 pounds, 8 pounds, 12 pounds?
It was, we were there for like 9 days. So we spent, probably 3 of those days with our chemist, in the morning, just sitting there going back and forth, putting it in the, and they had not a full distillery, but they had a process that they could say, this is how it's going to taste, when we bottle it, in the full style. And it was unbelievable. And we tasted some other really great vodkas over in Poland that will never get to the United States. They were made for, local towns, like the town of Plymouth would have their own vodka just for their community. But when we did this one, it was like, I said, I knew it was right. And I said, the bottle looks cool, but I want to make sure that my juice can never be challenged. I'll blow anybody away when we do a blind taste test with our juice. Just, I'd go on the Oprah show right now and blind taste test against anybody with our product.
My wife is particular, let's say, not necessarily in her choice of husbands, but when it comes to her cocktails, she is extraordinarily particular.
Okay.
And there's a few Detroit distilleries out there, and I love I love the micro brews. I hate the beers.
Yeah.
I love the places, and like La Casa, we're here. I love this place. I love the vibe. I love the vintage buildings, and like I love those micro distilleries. But the juice is just, she's like, she won't go. She's rubbing alcohol. And then I was telling her about the ZIMS, and I'm like, oh, honey, we're gonna do this thing with ZIMS. She's like, ah.
Yeah. No, listen, trust me. We heard that from day one. I mean, I told Bruce when the first 2 containers came over from Poland, they arrived in November of 2012. So I thought I'd be ready for Christmas. Well, by the time Customs and the FDA, let them release them, we didn't get them till January. So I missed the holiday season. So it's January 6th, and I called up Bruce. I said, hey, I got some good news and bad news. He goes, what's the good news? I said, the book has been released. The bad news is we don't have any customers. So we hit the pavement January 7th and started selling our product.
Yeah, but Colleen, my wife, she gave it a try. I had brought a bottle home, and it was on the counter, and she was like, get that out of here. And I'm like, all right, whatever, it's staying. And I came home the other day, and she's like, hey, I tried that ZIMS out. She goes, it's not that half bad.
Yeah. Well,
she goes, you could bring more of that home. That'd be okay. And I'm like, I go, and because we're both half Irish, half Polish,
Okay.
So it's the Detroit mix for sure. But she's, and I go, it's from Poland, honey. She's like, all right, well, you can keep keeping that in the house. So she enjoyed it. She, like I said, she's very, very particular. The taste, though, what are we getting? A lot of times people's like, oh, you can't smell vodka, you can't taste it. But I'm not. It's not pungent. It's not sharp.
The nose of it itself, it doesn't hit you. It really, when you nose a bourbon or something, you're
Right.
looking for that. With the ZIMS, when you nose it, it's there.
I get a slight sweetness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
So
there.
what you're getting in Poland, the country itself, there are 3 areas of the country that make vodka. Chopin comes from Warsaw, which is in the northeast corner, up close to the Russian border. A very short season. It's like the UP of Michigan.
Okay.
Right. Krakow would be more like Chicago or Detroit. A little longer season, but still not big. Where we make ours would be like in Naples, Florida. We have about an 8-month growing season.
Oh, wow.
So our potato stays in the ground longer, and when it comes out, it's got more starch. And not to bore you with details, but most potatoes, even the ones here in the United States, have about a 12% starch content.
Okay.
We have a 24% starch content.
All right.
And so that's where you get some of the sweetness. And so what you're smelling, because the 59 with the less alcohol, you're getting more of the potato that is coming through the nose right now. And that's where the creaminess, the smoothness comes in to the product. The 81, which has, traditionally 25% more alcohol, you'll still smell some of the potato, but now you're getting more of the alcohol, the water, in the mix.
Jamie, you poured the 50.
We did the 59. Yeah.
Okay.
Is what so Matt and I got that 59.
It's interesting that many people have told me, they say, I think the 81 smoother, and it gets back to Terry's point.
Yep.
And it's just, a little bit of same potatoes, same distillery, same
Yep.
Polish spring water,
Right.
But it's cut with more Polish spring water, and the distillation process is the same. So,
and everybody's palate's different. So,
Yeah.
you know, you really your own metal. It comes down.
Vodka is supposed to be odorless, colorless,
Right.
and tasteless, but everything has an odor, a taste, right, and a color. And in fact, when we were in Poland, they had some vodkas, if you recall, that they were kind of like some of the amber liquors, you know, the brown liquors that are, you know, bourbons here. But it's very interesting, the whole process.
So made from potatoes. So something that really intrigues me about ZIMS is that it's gluten-free because it's potatoes, right?
Correct.
Yeah, you were talking about
So folks that, you know, some folks out there, they suffer from celiac disease.
Yep.
So, you know, the gluten-free, it gives them an alternative as far as something to drink.
Well, it does, and you know, it's kind of been a craze, the gluten-free. You know, before I got in this business, nobody was talking about it, but it was still out there. People had the issues.
Sure.
We got in the business, and then all of a sudden, some of the big producers started saying we're gluten-free. Well, we were naturally gluten-free, but you don't see anything on our bottle about it.
Nope.
The one thing that really separates us from the herd, though, is that we are not only gluten-free, we're GMO-free.
You had mentioned that before we went on.
Poland is one of 14 countries that has rejected Monsanto, which is basically Roundup, and you know, things that they use to you know, increase the yield in crops. I mean, here in the United States, when you go to the grocery store and you're not in the organic section, and you go and look at a strawberry and it looks like a baseball, that was genetically modified, right, to grow bigger and faster. Poland does none of that. So whether it's their food or their alcohol, whatever they're doing. So that really kind of, and if you have a celiac disease, we tell people all the time, don't take our word for it. Go to their website and they'll tell you if you're going to drink alcohol, drink a potato-based vodka.
Well, because it's, pardon me, it's truly, because the source, potatoes, is truly gluten-free.
Sure.
See, there are some people out there that are under the impression that through the distillation process, you eliminate the gluten protein, which is what it is.
Right.
And we, meaning potatoes, are truly gluten-free.
Right.
So it's not even an issue for us.
Yeah, that's great.
Now, the other thing that's important to know is most people did, and I didn't know this till I got in the business, but less than 3% of the vodkas in the world are made with potato.
Oh,
It's one of the most expensive ingredients. I mean, some of the others are made with, like Grey Goose is made with wheat, French wheat. Kettle One is made with a grain. Sky Vodka is made with, you know, a real low-end grain because they produce a lot and, you know, they have a price point that they serve.
Yeah.
Some are made with corn, right? Just different ingredients out there. And so I said, if we're going to be an ultra premium play, I want to play in that space, but I also want to have, you know, the product that'll be able to stand up with it. I couldn't go in there with a grain alcohol and say, hey, we're an ultra premium. Really?
Yeah.
And what's interesting is, look, as a guy who used to be in the bread business, I know all about wheat and grains, and they're great because they feed the world, but they're the least expensive ingredient you can use to produce vodka. So Terry, again, chose to do the right thing and do it
Potatoes,
right.
Yeah.
So, tell us more about the distillery itself. Do they produce vodkas for? Are you the only thing coming out of there?
I'm their only American client.
Okay.
They're it's a 250-year-old distillery.
Right.
They produce a lot for you know, Eastern Europe. Right. Big billion-dollar privately held operation. And I was amazed. We walked in and the building looked like the walls here. It was just brick buildings, old brick buildings out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And we walked inside and we had to put on the white smocks, the shoes, the hats, everything
glasses,
inside. The process, they've obviously kept current and upgraded, but the process was just amazing to watch this go on. One of the most exciting things to watch was when they put on our label or our bottle.
Right.
It's the last thing that happened in the process. And there's a lady who sits at the end. And because we have the, I call it the Crown Royal label that goes over the top.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She pulls the bottle off and they put those on by hand.
Sure.
And then she puts it back on the conveyor and then they put the plastic over top of it. And if you hadn't been there, hadn't seen it, you'd say, no way. But I actually looked at this and I went, wow.
Because it reminds me of Laverne and Shirley. I don't know why.
Puts her glove on it. Waves them
Yeah. It was absolutely amazing. So, you know, just looking at that whole process and then, you know, and great people to deal with. Just absolutely great people, great country. And, we've never looked back.
So where is ZIMS available? Where can people find it, get it, acquire it?
So we launched here in Michigan because I live here in Michigan.
Yeah.
Today we're in probably 1,500 locations here in the state. We're in Pennsylvania. We've just launched in California and New York.
Congratulations.
But we ship all over the world now.
Okay.
We have a retailer who has a license, and we're shipping to London. I ship a lot to California, a lot to Texas, Colorado. The only place we're not shipping it to right now is Canada. And even though I'm a Canadian by birth, the Canadians are a pain in the ass to do business with sometimes. It's like Ishmael's story. You start with something, an idea, a concept, and you listen to your customers and you talk to them all the time. Very, very important.
Yeah. And we've got some remarkable clients like La Casa. We're very proud to say that he stocks and serves us, but virtually all winners of Restaurant of the Year, including places like Baco, Joe Muir's, right?
Right.
If you're familiar with Bistro 82 in Royal Oak, great place, and all of Bill Roberts' restaurants. So we're in the right places. Again, Terry wanted to create a luxury brand. And, part of being a luxury brand is that it's a superb experience. Like when you go to the Four Seasons, right? And you can't wait to go home and tell your family and friends what a remarkable experience you had. It's also non-essential. It's like you don't need a Rolex to tell time. You can do without it, but you prefer not to. or like an American Express Black Card, right? You cannot apply for an American Express Black Card that says your credit's limitless.
Right.
You're only invited.
Yeah.
So Ishmael, I want a little bit more about La Casa. What kind of services do you provide here? Say I come in and I'm a vodka guy, and I want to do vodka, because I've been in here a handful of times, not a ton, but a handful of times, and your staff is wonderful. A lot of ladies on your staff, but they're very knowledgeable from what I've found in my experience, and they were really good at guiding us for a cigar. But do they do pairings? Do they tell you, hey, try this with this, or?
Yes, actually, we do pairings here at La Casa with the different type of liquor. We just had one with the Scotch. Now just listening, to ZIMS vodka and listening, to let's say the ZIM 81 and the ZIM 59. Or 59. Yep. Both of them. So we really have. Basically, pairing goes hand in hand. It's like salt and pepper.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to come in and let's say what goes well with the 59.
Yeah.
So knowing the 59 is a creamy, is a milder, vodka.
Yeah.
My staff would know.
What would you suggest to go?
Pair, definitely. So
to go
I
with?
pair, as I described earlier, that the 20-minute, in Detroit, the regular line, is more a robust line.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I would not recommend that with the 59, with the ZIMS 59, because it's going to overpower, the ZIM 59. So I definitely recommend that with the ZIM 81. Because the ZIM 81 is more robust.
Okay.
It's a fuller bodied.
Right.
I definitely will pair the 20-minute in Detroit regular line with the ZIM 81. Now, if somebody's smoking a 59, I would still recommend, there's one blend that we just released. November 9th was our launch, was a limited edition cigar for Detroit. It's a beautiful box, beautiful packaging. And I've been working on that for like over a couple of years now. The blend is 5-year-old aged tobacco. We decided to put in the wrapper being a Connecticut wrapper. It's Connecticut seed that's grown in Ecuador, where it's known to be a creamy.
I see Matt laughing at me over there because
Paul's nodding and it's getting all excited.
Yeah.
This is actually the second time that I've been on their podcast, and ironically, it's been ZIMS vodka both times. Yeah. So I feel like I'm being like typecast here. And the first time that they invited me, I had no clue what we were pairing until like the last minute. And he goes, "Oh, by the way, it's going to be vodka." And I went, "Oh, thanks." Like the hardest thing to try to pair a cigar with, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
we paired it with a Roma Craft and Temperance,
Sure.
thinking it would be a lighter-bodied cigar to go with the vodka. And today, when I saw that we were doing ZIMS again, I was like, I wonder if Ishmael has any Connecticut wrapped cigars over there that he can pair with.
Yeah, that new limited edition, which is over the box. So it has a Connecticut wrapper that's grown in or a Connecticut seed that's grown in Ecuador.
Wow.
Why they decided Ecuador? Ecuador is known for its like 31 active volcanoes. You know, all the ashes that settles on the ground. It's a great fertilizer. So they came out with the seed. They brought the seed from Connecticut, planted in Ecuador, and then it was a creamier taste. Than the regular Connecticut wrapper that's grown in Connecticut, the U.S. Connecticut. So what we did with that, we got that wrapper. It was aged for 5 years, and then the binder is a binder called HVA, which stands for Havana Vuelta Abajo, which actually is a region in Pinar del Rio, Cuba, where really they plant the best tobacco in the world. Really is planted in that specific region. So we got the seed from there. We planted in Ecuador. We came out with more on the medium taste, and then that's how we came up with that specific binder. And then with the filler, we did the filler that's aged longer for 5 years too, with the sweet note on the Nicaragua, also with the Dominican that gives you the earthiness, and also with the with the Peruvian filler.
Sure.
Now, when it came to really the Dominican, we did not put a Ligero in there that it's really gives you it's a stronger taste.
Yeah.
We picked the Seco, which comes the second under the Ligero, which is not as a really full body. So the taste came out to be more mild to medium. So that specific cigar will pair perfectly with the 59.
Okay.
So I would definitely recommend that with the 59.
All right.
And it's not going to overpower the taste of the 59. So
Sure.
it's going to pair extremely well with it. So our staff is really knowledgeable about that, because we do a lot of pairing here at La Casa, and they're very knowledgeable.
I want to dig a little
pairing.
deeper. I don't know if you'll know this or not, but so you got the Connecticut seed and you plant it where?
In Ecuador.
So in Ecuador. All right. So these plants grow, and then you have that plant. Can you replant those seeds, or do you need new Connecticut seed to reproduce that?
Actually, it's funny you said that, because there's a couple things. One, when you take that seed and you plant it, that plant at the top comes out, will have flower, and then that flower on top will have seeds in it. So you can grab the seeds from that and then replant it.
Right. So will they need new Connecticut, or can they use those Connecticut's?
You can use that same Connecticut that comes on that specific
That's why I like
plant.
this. I just try to find it. I get so excited about finding this crap
but
out.
there are right now what they have done. The engineers, they have, because they don't want to, copy and take, the specific seeds from that plant. So what they did, they made those seeds to be flowerless. So you will not be able to get seeds from them. So I know a few of them do that. One of them are the Cubans.
Sure.
They call it desflorados.
All right, so we're smoking the 20 minutes in Detroit, and it is a little bolder. It's not really harsh. Harsh isn't a great word, but it's not super strong.
No.
It's not overpowering, but there's some taste there. There's a bit going on. What would you pair with your 20 minutes in Detroit? What if you just here? Let me tell you what. Do a 20 minutes in cigar and this. What would you suggest?
If the customer definitely, is a vodka drinker.
No, a whiskey guy.
If a whiskey guy, are you a single malt?
I'd go single malt on this.
Let's say if you're a single malt, I would definitely do something like Lagavulin, Lafroig, where it's the Islay. It's coming from the Islay part of the island of Ireland, where it's a smokier taste, fuller body.
Okay.
That would definitely pair very well with that. If I go with the Connecticut, I would a little bit more do it with the Macallan, because the Macallan is more, on a milder, to medium, body smoke, or a small, medium body drink.
So I like those peaty ones. Just reminds me of the fires back back on the island. It's just smelling those up. Yeah.
And then when it comes to, let's say, bourbon,
Yeah.
You want to pair something with bourbon. The bourbon, a lot of percentage of the bourbon is made from corn.
Right.
That's why they call it bourbon. So it has that sweeter note to it. So I will pair it with something, a little bit more sweet, in the taste of a cigar.
So I got to tell you, but doing the 20 minutes in Detroit, and as I'm drinking the ZIMS and I got my cigar relit finally, it's actually almost a little sweeter now that I'm hitting it.
Well, it's a little more creaminess that comes out.
You're hitting your palate with two.
It's coming out a bit
two
more.
different, the cigar and the drink.
I think you're also kind of getting the taste of the Nicaraguan filler. That's the sweet note. That's where the sweet note comes from.
So yeah, they're it's not a bad pairing at all.
It's interesting, and you'll know this for sure. Vodka has never traditionally been a drink that you would have with cigars. Typically, we're finding more and more though. Women are smoking cigars.
Yes, they are. There were a couple downstairs.
And women are drinking the 59.
Belief, that's for sure.
Yeah,
right. Women are enjoying the ZIMS 59 because of the lower proof. And some places now they're actually putting a drop or two of bitters in the drink to give it that little taint of either a scotch or a whiskey, and it's more for appearance than anything. But we don't care what they put in it as long as they enjoy our vodka.
Sure,
right.
And they've got a great cigar. I mean, it's just an absolute great pairing.
Well, if Matt and Jamie don't mind, I'm gonna get Ishmael here real quick because
get him.
I do frequent La Casa on a weekly basis. I work down at 1001 Woodward. It's a 5-minute walk, if that. It's nice being. Your location is great. You're in the entertainment district, but you're so close to the financial district and Campus Martius and what's happening downtown is a great commute. But as I said, I'm here weekly, but I'm always on the lower level. So, we were talking about what else does La Casa offer.
He wants a pass.
How do you get to the second level? I mean, what other amenities do you offer?
How do you power up
and how do you power up? Absolutely.
To come to the VIP lounge, I created the concept, because I'm a passionate at what I do. I love cigars, and I have passion for what I do for cigars. So whenever I'm sitting down, I'm smoking a cigar, I'm constantly really thinking, as a cigar lover myself, I like really to come down after work. By the way, I don't smoke while I'm working. I just cannot. I have to sit down, relax, decompress, and really smoke a cigar. And a lot of then if you notice La Casa on the second floor, I gave the customers lots of options. What I mean by that, you have different lounges upstairs. You have 5 different rooms, different lounges. One of them has a TV, one of them doesn't have a TV in it. So you have the choice of picking one of those two. You might just want to come down and sit. You don't want to listen to TV. You don't want to listen to nothing. You just want to sit down. You want to light up your cigar. You want to have your drink, and you just want to sit down and decompress. So I really give you that option. You want to sit down and watch, a sports event, listen to news. You have that option too. You can move into another room. You want to come to the lounge where we're sitting right now. There's a piano. It's called the Piano Lounge. I have somebody that will sit down, will play the piano once a week. You can sit down to them, playing the piano, soft music. You have the bar up here. You can sit on the bar. That's another option. And you have TVs. You can, bring your friends. You can, socialize. There's a lot of options that I really give you. In addition to that, there's a humidor to your left where all our lockers are. We have about probably 150 lockers in there. The VIP member has a special key. It's a key fob that will give you access to the VIP. A lot of people, as you notice downstairs, also I give options to regular clientele who are coming, they just want to walk in, they want to sit down and smoke a cigar. So I give you an option of downstairs just to be with the, regular public. And, upstairs is very exclusive. You pay membership fee and also gives you access to other locations. Let's say Las Vegas has the same concept. You have, you have a VIP lounge. So if you go to Las Vegas, you can access Ann Arbor VIP, you can access Detroit VIP, you can access Las Vegas VIP. So, all these different locations.
What does it cost on something like that to be a VIP?
Excuse me. In Detroit, we're not that expensive, believe it or not, comparing to other, other places. I'm a member also of the DAC. I provide the DAC with their cigars. I also make them the DAC cigar. There's
Nice.
a DAC cigar. That's
So
their
your guys are
number one
rolling
seller.
theirs too?
I really made it in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
For the DAC. They have a really nice blend box of 10. So, I also I'm involved in that.
So it's like private labeling, so to speak.
Have that they know that the DAC cigar is really made for the DAC, so
Okay.
the government knows that this specific cigar is for the DAC.
It's only available over there.
It's only available at the DAC,
So,
and it's
yeah,
only
yeah.
sold at the DAC.
That's
Correct.
that's exclusivity right there.
We'll have to talk to you once we go up there.
Yeah. Again, that's part of being a luxury brand is
Yeah.
exclusivity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, it's the
Exclusivity is huge.
exclusivity that I give.
But again, I'm going to pin you down. What's my cost here? I want to be a VIP because, like I said, I'm here weekly.
Here in Detroit, it's $1,000
$1,000
a year.
Okay.
That would give you access to the club. That would give you your own humidor. You can store cigars in there. That gives you the option also to bring friends up here. Let's say you want to throw a birthday party. We will not charge you for that. You just have to let us know in advance that that's what you want,
Nice.
so you can reserve a spot.
That's not bad.
And the capacity here is about 150.
Yeah.
On the second floor.
Sure.
So we'll give you that option too as a VIP. And you
any
don't
other
have to
perks
pay
of the
anything.
VIP?
I'm sorry.
Any other perks like cigar purchase
You get some
discounts?
cigars. You
Well,
get,
what you do actually, yes. What you do, you get, we usually give 10% off on a cigar box purchase. VIP members get additional 10%, so you get a total of 20%. You also get 20% on accessories.
Okay.
Also you get, that kind of discount. And if there is a hard to find cigars, VIP members get the priority.
Nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm here pretty much once a week. Usually on a Friday, I'll come down at lunch.
All right, time to do. You're the accountant boy. Time to do some math and figure it out.
It's nice because I can come down here, about
$85
noon.
a month.
The girls will come over and unlock the door, and you do it. I mean, even on the lower level, they've got the comfy chairs.
Oh yeah.
You kind of sit back, you get
Oh, for
that
sure.
cigar vibe. I like looking out. They've got a big glass window out the front. You can just people watch if you want.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, as you notice, our seating is very comfortable.
Yes.
You can really sit in them.
I keep wanting to sit back. But
I know.
I gotta keep.
We got to sit for it. Yeah.
So you can sit in them and relax for a very, very long time. And these specific couches, believe it or not, they're all exclusively made for La Casa. They have
Nice.
a La Casa name on the side of them. And we tested them for a long time, and they're throughout all our lounges, actually.
Great.
And it's great clientele. I mean, like I said, I run into people downstairs, and as you guys mentioned, I'm with Cigar Smokers of Michigan. We're a Facebook group. I think we just hit 1462 by signing up Bruce this evening.
That's right. I am now a member.
And,
Welcome to La Casa.
Yes.
La Casa has, I know we've held a couple herfs out in the Ann Arbor lounge. And, like I said, just the clientele downstairs is great. I've been downstairs and I've done some video reviews from the lounge downstairs.
Right.
And I've had people go, "What are you doing over there?" Because I got my laptop set up and I'm doing a video, and I get done. They're like, "What were you smoking?" Because that sounds really good. And I'm like, "Well, just go over to the next door to the retail area, and they've got. If you haven't been in their humidor, it's huge.
Yeah.
If I have one complaint, and I want to give some constructive
Here you go,
criticism, and
Definitely. Well,
feel free to throw me out if it offends you, but it's such a great humidor. There's that empty space in the middle. I would love for you to put a huge box of something or a huge table in the middle and really promote that, because it's an awesome humidor.
Actually,
It
there
really
is a table in the middle, and then we move that table in and out. And the reason why we move it, because we get packed so much, and especially on special events, let's say Tigers opening day.
Sure.
I mean, we even move the furniture out from the bar side downstairs, stand up only. And then, that's why, we move those
Friday
things
nights,
out,
this place
because
is
it gets so packed, you just
Yeah.
cannot move. Yes.
Yeah, I brought some newbies here a couple weeks ago, and they're like, Paul was like a kid in a candy shop when he was in the humidor, and we went over to the lounge afterwards. Like, "Oh my God, I didn't know this place would get that packed." I'm like, "Yeah, it's a great place though."
Yeah. So Ishmael, you said this is a historical building. Do you know any of the history of the building itself? What it was?
Well, the history was built. I'm sorry. The building was built in 1925.
Okay.
And the history behind it, I know back in the day, even, a lot of customers come in here. They tell me, what? We used to come and take our pictures here for high school.
Okay.
So it used to be a studio on
right.
the second level. where they took a lot of pictures for high school here.
And you're still educating people.
And Bassett used to be here too. Exactly.
Oh, so I love the
And
city.
so-
It's
yes.
because I work at the pop station 96.3 and over in the Fisher Building, and back in the day, like my dad and my grandfather and all my aunts worked in the Fisher Building. My grandfather did he worked for the city of Detroit, and he actually he was a mason. He would they would lay in the curbs and then pour the concrete, and he would chip out the limestone. He would chip out the driveways, right? And then after that, all the sidewalks and streets were done. He was like filling potholes. He was like, "Oh, screw that noise." And so,
I don't know. I think he could have a lot of success today with all the potholes.
he's got plenty of work today, but he was like, following a truck around. So he ended up doing maintenance at the Fisher Building, and he got all his kids jobs at the Recess Club, which was an exclusive club in the Fisher Building. And one of my aunts, who is a nun now, and she's, I think, 93, living back at the mother house back in Adrian, Michigan. But she was one of the cigar girls. And the other girl was an elevator operator. Another one was coat check. And my dad was like a busboy before he got drafted for Korea.
Believe it or not, there is a really big, women that are cigar smokers. You'll be shocked. I mean, I'll guarantee you now, you walk downstairs, you're going to see a lot of cigars, ladies smoking cigars. Even in Vegas, one time I was sitting down, smoking a cigar, relaxing, and I looked at my bar, and I would say, wow, I counted, they were all women sitting on the bar. There was no men really smoking cigars at the bar, except all women smoking, cigars. So really women, nowadays are, big also on cigar smoking.
Yeah, I haven't done a count of our membership. I might have to have one of the admins look, but I know we got quite a few Sisters of the Leaf in our group as well.
Sisters of the Leaf.
We love, promoting it to the women because, like I said, there are you see a lot of spouses, they'll get together, husband and wife, getting together, going to a cigar lounge and, enjoying a cigar and a drink. And unfortunately, I can't do it with my wife because she's highly allergic to the smoke. And she's like a bulldog and yells at me, "Hey, take your shirt off before you come in the house." But
that's just she wants to see that physique, man. That's what's going on.
That's what I'm going to tell myself.
Check it for charity again.
That's it.
It's like my wife with my hockey equipment. Leave it in the garage.
That's it. All right, Bruce. We held Ishmael's feet to the fire. We're going to hold you guys' feet to the fire. So it's a premium boutique vodka. What's the price point for folks when they're out trying to pick up a fifth somewhere?
Well, the retail price on ZIMS 81.
What's that Lara telling us, right?
Is $33.99 a fifth, or except for a 750. That's what we call it, and then $29.99 at your favorite retailer for the 59 proof. Which, by the way, you can find at all your higher end retail venues, like let's say Nino Savaggio, Plum Market,
right?
Of course, Myers.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep. Love the fact that Meyer is really starting to branch out.
It is amazing.
Yeah, I think that Charlie told us that last time we got together with him, the ZIMS brand ambassador.
Yes, and we have many of those. We've got Charlie, and then we've got some other worldwide ambassadors, like arguably the most eligible bachelor in the world, Nick Giorgio. Chris Delabio is a North American ambassador. So we've got a lot of feet on the street, if you will, telling the ZIMS story, which it's a good story, as you just heard.
Oh, yeah, it's a great story.
Well, what's interesting about pricing is that there's a state minimum.
Sure, yeah.
And that's what most retailers charge. But in places like Grand Rapids, I've been over there, I've walked into a retailer, and he's charging $38.99 or $36.99 for the 59. Now, we don't get any of that upside, but he charges it because he can get it.
Right.
And so, we feel good about that the retailer can, because they're fixed in terms of their percentage that they make, right? But if they can make a few extra bucks.
Yeah.
And we tell them all the time, when you have something that's unique and different and you have connoisseurs of vodka,
sure,
why wouldn't they want to upgrade?
Sure. Well, again, I'm a bit more of a whiskey and a bourbon guy, generally speaking. And, 39 isn't that like a sticker shock. It's like, ooh, it's on sale if you find a bourbon down at that, it's either going to, explode in your face.
When we came into the market, everybody told us that you can't be higher priced than Grey Goose. And I said, BS. I said, if I'm higher priced than Grey Goose, people are going to notice that.
Yeah.
All right. And if if it doesn't sell, we'll have a lot of vodka and we'll have a lot of parties.
Well, it's worth taking notice of. Anything else you want to add?
I know I'd like to share something that's really near and dear to Terry's heart and that of myself.
Yeah, sure.
And that's that even though it's produced in Poland, we're a Michigan-based company, and that's important because Terry's big on giving back to the community. I mean, we're very big in charities. For example, the Wounded Warrior Project.
Oh, I love that.
Terry and I love children's charities. He supports the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We all love dogs. He supports the Detroit Dog Rescue Group. And I could go on and on.
Sure.
But it's important, and that's part, again, of Terry creating this brand, is that we're trying to create a brand where we give back.
Sure.
And that's just really important to us.
Well, if you guys want to give back,
where can I get
Stacy's over here. She's been listening attentively, and because she's a fan of Animal Talk and the Man Cave and the Detroit Bulldog Rescue, right?
Oh, really?
It's
Okay.
Bulldogs, exclusively to Bulldogs, and they have such special needs. Those are like, you got to have a big heart to love some Bulldogs. And we do a big chili cook-off every year. They do a big chili cook-off every year, and they're nice enough to invite me to enjoy the chili and stuff. So maybe we can hook you guys up for next year.
Always looking to support local.
So so they're finding homes for lots of Bulldogs in the area. There's so many. When you get to the animal thing, it's like,
you
it's
open up a
amazing.
whole new can of worms for Jamie when you start talking animals.
It's very cool, and it's good. Look, it feels good to give back, especially here we are, right, in the holiday season.
Yep.
And we've got a gracious host in Ishmael letting us do the Man Cave Happy Hour podcast here. Thank you again for hosting us.
Thank you.
There's a lot to be said for that in the heart of Detroit, and it's the giving season. And even though it may sound like a cliche, it really does feel better to give than receive.
Absolutely.
I would like to invite everybody, to come down and visit our location in Detroit and have the experience. Detroit, a lot of people ask me, when I travel to my other locations, especially in Vegas, they tell me, what's really your favorite location?
Well, and I would be remiss if I didn't tell your listeners, if you're interested in cigars and drinking and cigar lounges, and you're on Facebook, check out Cigar Smokers of Michigan.
For sure.
There's a link to join. I'm personally hoping to hit 1,500 before the end of the year.
You're on your way, man.
And
you are on your way.
So by all means,
it's funny.
we're just a bunch of crazy guys who like to smoke cigars. So we'll let anyone in.
Well, it's like anything. It's not always about quantity. It's about quality.
Sure.
Yes.
And if you have the right customers, and in our business, it's the same thing. I can tell you right now, you won't find my product in Hooters. You just won't. Now, they can order it, and I can't tell them not to order it, but it's not a place that we would go to to market our brand, because our drinkers typically go to the nicer places. They enjoy the finer things, whether it's a cigar or a steak. Down at Prime and Proper or London Chopos or wherever it might be.
Right.
And that's important to us. So it's the branding and everything else. And we've stuck to that from day one. So
yeah, we're here at La Casa, and it's if you're downtown, it's right on Randolph. If you're near the Gem Theater or Music Hall, Detroit Athletic Club, the driveway from the athletic club dumps down that side street right there is Randolph, and it's right there, right behind Music Hall. Super easy to find. There's actually pretty reasonable parking compared to most of downtown. Paul, because he does accounting for parking places, it's pretty reasonable parking. The couple of lots like down behind you here are actually some of the more reasonable parking spots.
Well, also, as you said, I do work for Ultimate Parking.
Yes.
Which is now Premier Parking. We were just recently purchased by a national line out of Nashville. We're running all the garages downtown for a lot of Dan Gilbert's properties. So if you need to park by La Casa, we've got the Z lot, which is just 2 blocks over.
Yep.
That's reasonably priced. Lots of options to park over here.
Yeah, there is. I mean, it's because it's nuts downtown. It's like
it is. We have a lot of parking here.
Yeah.
There's a park right next door. We have another parking, Miller parking, right also, next to us.
Well, there's a little hotel right there behind you.
Right here,
Yeah, and you can kind of, and they're like, oh, you can park in this lot, sure. But most of the time you drive by, you're like, oh, it's hotel parking. But you drive in, they're like, no, you can park here.
It's like
it's like, kind of like my secret.
It's just like the DAC. Ishmael and I are both members. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can park there. It's a 9-iron. Over there.
There you go. It's just a chip shot away.
Yeah, exactly.
For some, it's a 9-iron. For me, it's
a toe wedge and a 9-iron. Yeah. So, Ishmael, anything else about La Casa we need to know about?
La Casa is, as I mentioned before, it's my favorite spot, my favorite location among all these locations. La Casa has a lot of character, history, and I consider it home. So whenever people, ask me what's your favorite location, I always say Detroit is really it. And, right now, I was fortunate, to be able to own the building, and I own the building downtown here at, 1502 Randolph, where La Casa is. And, again, this is home for me. So,
thanks.
Home.
So
thanks for having us in
here.
your
Can I
home.
ask you one to fill one rumor for me? Now, I know that Comerica Park has a cigar lounge.
Yes.
I've heard a rumor. Are you the one servicing that?
It's not a rumor; it's a fact that I've been servicing. I've been servicing that for a while. Comerica Park, they really buy lots of our 20-minute in Detroit, and they carry, of course, other brands too, and they're one of our clients. When the season starts.
All right. So when you're having a smoke at the park, it came from over here.
Exactly.
All right. So, and if you need a second one afterwards while you're waiting for that shuttle, this is like so close. I was gonna say, do you have a shuttle service for the parks? But this is pretty much where the shuttles drop people off.
Yeah, exactly. In this area, we're fortunate. We're close by. Comerica Park is right across the street. Ford Field across the street. Now.
It's all there.
Little Caesars isn't that far away either. I mean, it's worth the walk.
Definitely, for sure.
It's 5 minutes, and you still have 15 minutes
we
left
have
to
people.
smoke.
Yeah, we have people who park here and then walk to Little Caesars. And
I can tell you, everybody I know, we either start or end our nights here. So sometimes both.
There you are. All right, guys, gentlemen, thank you. ZIMS Vodka. Is there a website for ZIMS? People can find
ZIMSvodka.com.
Easy peasy.
Simple.
There
You guys are on Facebook?
Yeah,
We are on Facebook.
How's that?
We're on
Absolutely,
Instagram.
and we encourage you to visit us. You'll see all the cool local charities and community events we support, and
Awesome.
and fun stuff like this.
Absolutely.
Sure, and you
Thank
can visit us on lacasacigars.com for our locations, and then for the cigar brand, 20 minutes in Detroit. So, 20 minutes cigars. Also, it's online.
Find
you
you
can
in
check it
Vegas?
out. You find us in Vegas too.
I'm
We
like
are very highly
so
rated
excited to
over
go to
there.
Vegas. I do. I so want to check out the Vegas
definitely.
location.
I got a suggestion.
Yeah.
Let's do a Man Cave Happy Hour podcast in Vegas.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be great.
Why not? Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Everyone who isn't invited, right?
Everybody.
All right. There you go. That'll do it, man. Matt, you got anything else?
No, Jamie, do you?
Nope.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you. Where do we drop the mic?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.